Hi, I'm Maria Langer, and you're looking at the back of my head while I fly a Magni M-16 gyroplane. I'm learning how to fly this. I'm sitting in here with George, the owner of it. You can see him in the shadow of our gyroplane as we lift off here. I'm at Watts-Woodland Airport in Woodland, California. For 5 years straight, I came to this area of California for frost control work. In fact, if you look at the ramp the next time I take off, you'll see my helicopter sitting there. And while I was there, I met George, and we got to be friends, and he offered to teach me how to fly his gyroplane. And what am I going to say? No? Of course I'm going to say yes. So I learned how to fly it, and I got to the point where I was soloing. And then I called it quits because I didn't see any reason to continue. I have no access to a gyroplane, and it would be very difficult to keep current and to keep safe. But I did learn how to fly it, and it was a lot of fun. George told me that I was his most difficult student, and the main reason for that is because I'm a helicopter pilot, not an airplane pilot, and there are some differences between a gyroplane and a helicopter. Even though it has rotor blades, it does require forward airspeed to keep those blades spinning, and that's something I had to grapple with. I'm accustomed to landing when the helicopter is not moving at all, so the idea of moving when I'm doing 50, 60 knots was kind of creepy to me, so I was struggling with that a little bit. Now you're going to see a lot of vibrations in this, and I'm sorry about that. There's really nothing I could do. The camera was mounted on the MAST. It was a GoPro, I think it was a Hero 3, so it doesn't have any stabilization in it, and the stabilization I was able to do in software was not that good, so I didn't even bother. So here's my first landing in this clip, and you can see it's not terribly good. Bam, there we go. And we are doing touch and goes, so I immediately throttle up the aircraft and pull up, and I'm going to be flying in ground effect a little bit, and we're going to be tightening up these patterns a little bit so I could practice the most landings. Mostly landings is what I need to practice with. Taking off was pretty easy. And basically the way it works is it's a gyroplane, which means that the engine does not drive the rotors on top. Instead, they are driven by air flowing through them from underneath. So a lot of people say that gyroplanes are in constant auto rotation, and that probably is the case. Instead, the engine is pushing a pusher propeller in the back, so the propeller is pushing us forward, and that's giving us forward airspeed, and that airspeed coming through the rotor blades is giving us lift, and also it is keeping those blades spinning. So I've taken off. I'm now in a downwind. You saw me turn crosswind and then turn into downwind, and you can see the airport off to the right there. And once I get to altitude, I'm going to throttle down. You can see George waving to somebody, I don't know who. And then I'm basically just cruising there at altitude. We're probably about, I would say 500 to 700 feet up. And in this second pattern, I'm going to cut it a little bit tighter. Again, we're trying to turn these landings and takeoffs really quick. We were turning them in probably about 2 to 3 minutes. So now I'm turning base. Cue the vibrations here. And then I'm going to turn final. There you go. The runway is really close to the end of to that road, which is why it's got a displaced threshold. I'm supposed to be landing right kind of where the 3.6 is. And here I'm coming in ground effect, and then I'm going to touch down. I think this was the best of the 3 landings I did. I saved the worst for last, and you'll see that in a minute. So this was a really interesting experience. I like to fly different things, especially unusual things. And I really enjoyed flying this. I enjoyed the open cockpit. I enjoyed the fact that it was like a helicopter in that I could fly low. And it was just a lot of fun. So I do recommend to any pilot watching this, if you have an opportunity to learn how to fly one of these, or even just to take a couple of lessons, go for it. Why not? And the same goes if you're an airplane pilot and you want to experiment with helicopters. Take a lesson. It's really going to be really good for you. So once again, I'm in downwind, and that's the airport down off to the side there. The folks at Watts-Woodland, Bruce Watts, he's a really nice guy. They've owned this airport for 100 years. It's been in the family. It just celebrated its 100-year anniversary this year, 2019. And they were really nice folks, and I have to say that I really miss them. I lived on that airport for frost season, I think for 3 years in a row with my RV. And this area is pretty close to Sacramento. I think we were about 10 miles from Sacramento Airport. San Francisco would be kind of straight ahead on the other side of those mountains. And now I'm turning base to final. And like I said, I saved the worst landing for last. So you can see, practice sometimes makes perfect, but sometimes I get worse. I think I was driving him nuts. This is a really long landing, too. I should have touched down already. Boom! Not even on the center line. Anyway, thanks very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you haven't subscribed already, please do. Also, consider becoming a channel member or a Patreon patron. I really appreciate you folks. Thanks very much for tuning in. Bye.